Hello and welcome to Sports Opinion, the weekly sports talk show on Channel 18, Public Access TV. I'm Dirk Keller. This is Bob Boyd.
Hello.
Over there, our friend Pat White is back. And as always, Earl the Pearl Murphy, he's back.
Hi.
I'm going to reiterate that this is the longest running public access TV show in Iowa City. At least 23 years that we can remember. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there.
So,
I've actually had some people doubt me.
I heard the president talk before I came down here.
Yes.
President Obama?
Yeah.
In Cedar Rapids?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, really?
And he came out and they played Hail to the Chief. And I always get emotional
For that song?
on a song.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the all-time greats. You know who's coming? And just wait. And he was pretty good. I'm a Republican. I didn't vote for him. But he gave a wonderful talk.
He's a tremendous speaker.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job last night.
With the teleprompter.
Well,
yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
quite, not
good
quite
point.
as good without it.
None of us are.
Yeah.
Except
Sorry.
here on Sports Opinion.
Technology.
We have no teleprompters here.
That's right. We wouldn't know how to read them if we had them.
Yeah. Oh, now Joe says we actually do have teleprompters,
You do?
but we don't
Okay.
use them.
Bring that
so-
over here so I can use it. Joe.
Yeah, Bob doesn't need one. Well, we are back after a bit of a lull in Hawkeye sports the last week. The men's basketball team hasn't played since last Tuesday at Purdue, and they lost a close one. The women's basketball team hasn't played since, was it Saturday, Pat? Thursday? Has it been that long?
Sunday.
No, then they lost to Penn State on Sunday.
At Penn State
Yeah.
Sunday, that's right. They beat Wisconsin last week and then lost to Penn State on the road Sunday, the day Joe Paterno died. That had to be a tough
Yeah.
Well,
opportunity.
not only that, but they and the wrestlers, who were also at Penn State, had a trip from hell coming home.
Did they?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they ran into weather problems,
Oh, boy.
plane delays, and they both got home about 1:30 or 2 in the morning.
You're kidding me. Holy cow.
That's
Boy, that was just an all-around really bad day.
It was. I mean, that just
Oh, man.
tops it off. You feel bad for losing, and they both lost. And
I'm surprised the Brands boys didn't make the wrestling team walk back to Iowa. They had a tough weekend.
you don't get home for almost
Oh.
9 to 10 hours after you're done competing.
Well,
Yeah.
I listened to the radio for the wrestling meet, and they thought they would be home by 6 p.m. that night.
Now, the women, and I think the wrestlers had the same route. They're in different planes. It was apparently foggy or icy in Cedar Rapids by the time they got near, so they landed in Peoria, got on a bus, and
Oh,
took a
my.
bus the rest of the way.
That's minimum 3 hours right there.
Just
Yeah.
rubbed it in.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
Oh,
that.
that's too bad.
Well, the women had a really good first half against Purdue. In fact, a good 2/3 of the game.
Yeah. Till about the last,
Last
8
5
minutes or
minutes?
something.
Last
5 minutes.
6 minutes. Just
that what it was?
all of a sudden,
What the hell?
we couldn't make a basket.
Yep.
We couldn't get a rebound. We couldn't guard. We kept giving the ball away.
What was the finals? Wasn't it like 67 to 52, Pat?
68-52. It was
Okay,
a 20,
well, I
to,
was
20 to 2 run in the last.
Yeah, I
6
was
minutes.
listening to it the last part of the game, and I do remember Iowa having, correct me if I'm wrong, a 48-40 lead. Does that sound right?
That could be right.
They had an even bigger lead than that at one point.
And then I did something else, and I went back and turned the radio on with a couple minutes left, and I went, whoa,
Yep.
what a difference.
Well, they went cold and they went flat.
Yeah.
Deadly combination. And it's tough on the road. And it sounded like they had a really good crowd at the Penn State women's game. Close to 7,000, I read.
That is a good crowd.
That's a good crowd. And they're a very good team. Coming into this preseason, they were number 1 in the Big Ten Conference.
Who's defending champion
They
in
are.
the Big Ten? That's what I
Penn
think.
State.
Did they also win the tournament? Big Ten tournament?
I'm thinking Ohio State probably
Did they?
won the tournament. They still had Lavender last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the women have an opportunity to right the ship. Thursday night, they go to Nebraska for a 7 o'clock game that is going to be on the Big Ten Network live.
You know, I'm not sure it is. I'm thinking it's on the.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
Yes.
Thank you. It's on KXAC at 7 o'clock Thursday night. They will be hosting Purdue Sunday afternoon. And that game, I said Sunday.
That one's on
Saturday.
Saturday.
Purdue will be here to face the Iowa women on Saturday at 2 p.m. That game will be live on the Big Ten Network.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion there.
Well, and I added to the confusion last week. I realized after we left the studio, I misspoke about, one of you asked me when we played Purdue again, and I said February 12th, and I was obviously confusing Michigan State, and Purdue's here this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, the women have a chance to right the ship against both teams. The men have an opportunity to make things right tomorrow night. It's a 6 o'clock game, and
That must mean the Big Ten Network.
it's, believe it or not, it is not.
It's not.
It's on ESPNU.
Oh, really?
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
That
Wow.
would be, is that Channel 22 for MediaCom? Is that right?
No.
No.
No?
It's 178 in the Iowa City area.
Oh, okay.
You got to have one of the upper.
Have to have a digital
Oh, I see, okay.
receiver.
Yeah. So they're going to be hosting Nebraska tomorrow night, 6 p.m. at Carver Hawkeye Arena. And then they have to travel to Indiana to face the Hoosiers on Sunday. And that's a 5 o'clock game.
Okay.
And that will be on the Big Ten
Well,
Network.
that's a weird time.
It's Big Ten Network time. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
In Indiana, that's 6 o'clock
Yeah.
their time.
That's right, yeah.
It's just not right. We've talked about it forever.
Well, and then the next week, we have 2 home games, right? We play Minnesota on the 1st, Wednesday the 1st, at 7:30, men. And then Saturday, Penn State here, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. That's the 25th anniversary of the first Tom Davis coach team, the one that went to the Elite Eight, lost to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Out at Seattle.
So
That would have been the spring of
Nope.
1987.
That's right. 25 years ago.
Yeah.
What was that halftime score?
We were up 18 at half
Yeah, over Las Vegas, Nevada. Yep.
in the old King Dome. Which
Jerry
doesn't exist.
Tarkanian coaching, remember?
Mm-hmm.
The outlaw Jerry Tarkanian.
Got a towel?
Sucking on that beach towel of his. What
Yeah.
a weird dude.
Oh, I couldn't believe we lost that game. They started hitting 3-pointers like crazy
Yep.
that second half, and weren't they rated number 1, Pat, at the time? That team.
And they may well have been.
UNLV.
They were certainly
They were good.
one of the favorites for the title.
Yeah.
They were very good.
I was at that game.
Were you?
Oh yeah, sitting courtside. I had media passes, and I sat next to Dean Smith, of all people,
For God's sake.
the longtime coach of
Wow.
North Carolina. Now get this: Dean Smith sat there courtside, smoking cigarettes.
No.
He was hiding it. He was hiding it. He would cup it,
Times have changed.
but and he quit smoking since then. But
Well, he was down there in tobacco country, North Carolina.
that's
you know?
right. I think everybody down there smokes.
Yeah.
But that was a heck of an experience. At halftime, all the media people were gathered, and we were all talking amongst each other and said, "Are you going to New Orleans?" "Oh yeah, we're going to New Orleans. Everybody's going to New Orleans for the Final Four."
Counting
the
that
game.
victory before it happened. Huh?
Well, when you're up 18
Yeah.
and can't do anything wrong, it's a pretty safe assumption that good things will happen at the end, and it just didn't turn out that way.
You know, we started this conversation bemoaning game times and the Big Ten Network, and
Yep.
obviously it's ESPN too, but that's now the way of life in the Division I basketball world.
Sure is.
All schools value being on TV, the exposure, and are willing to give up the regularity of schedule and game time in return for. I think the Big Ten Network is now writing each of the Big Ten schools an annual check for $20 million or thereabouts.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the days of predictable nights and times are long gone.
Well,
And that's what.
And that
that's
money is
also
needed.
what that hurts attendance. Also hurts attendance.
Well, I think it did initially, but I see enthusiasm coming back
Yeah.
for Iowa men's basketball, and people are enthused enough that they're willing to look ahead and figure out when the schedule is and show up.
Didn't they have 12,000 plus at the last home game?
I think so.
You know, this next run for Iowa, their next 4 games we just talked about when they're playing. 3 of the 4 at home. Iowa really has an opportunity
Well,
to make some headway.
at the risk of jinxing them, we've actually got a shot for postseason play.
The
Yeah.
men?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Gosh, yeah.
NCAA tournament is a very long shot. The NIT is probably at least 50-50, if not a little better.
Well,
at this
here's
point.
the deal.
You've got to win 6 more games and get to 17 because we've got 11 left and we play at least one the Big Ten tournament. That's 12. So
What's
if
the record right now? 11
They're
and
11
9?
and 9. If
Yeah.
they go 6 and 6, they finish 17 and 15.
You got to look at the schedule, and this
Yeah.
is why what Pat said is so true. You've got 6 games against the bottom feeders in the conference, 2 with Nebraska, 2 with Northwestern, and 2 with Penn State. That's real good.
Although don't forget Northwestern beat Michigan State
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
That's right.
Evanston. So
But I like our chances against them
If they're hitting
versus.
the threes,
Yeah,
You're right, Murph. If they hit their threes, they're tough to beat.
that's right.
If they're hot.
They-
It's whether they're hot or they're not, you know.
The men also have 2 games left with Indiana. We don't play Ohio State again, and
Or Michigan
or
State.
Michigan
we
State.
don't play Michigan again. Michigan took over first place in the Big Ten last night by beating Purdue in
In
West
Purdue.
Lafayette. Yeah,
Did you pick that on your weekly?
I picked it wrong.
I actually picked that one.
You know what? I can't remember. Which one I
Purdue's
did.
been-
I thought at home Purdue would win.
They've been disappointing this year, I think. I don't think
They're
So
not as good, are they?
Hummel
does
has
Matt
ever
Painter.
come back from his injuries. He's just not the same player.
He really looks awkward running down the court.
Yeah, he really does. He's still got a sweet
But,
shot.
oh my gosh, he can shoot.
Yeah,
That's
Doesn't
too
miss a
bad.
free throw.
yeah, I was gonna say, he shoots free throws, that's great.
Yeah, he missed what? One whole season, part of another, didn't he? With a knee, two knee operations.
yep.
One of the great scenes of the men's season was the first game here. No, it was on the road.
No,
Had-
it was a Big Ten opener here, wasn't it?
Matt Gatens fouled Hummel with like 3 seconds to go. We were behind, and he turned toward the bench, and you could read his lips. He said, "I didn't foul him," because he knew he was going to put in 2 points.
Well, I think that was on the road.
Officials,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
at Purdue.
Oh, was
Yeah,
it?
I remember
Okay.
that. Well, and speaking of Matt Gatens, I don't know if there's anyone that's ever played for the Hawkeyes who deserves to go to postseason play
Oh,
more
no
than
kid.
him.
He does.
He's put in the effort, put in
Yeah.
the time. He has been a leader from his freshman year on. All the changes he's been through with coaches, teammates, and let's not forget teammates. The turnover
Yeah.
in teammates, that's a heck of an adjustment for a team member who stays. You have so many people coming and going.
Yeah.
He's still closing in on the top 10
Yeah, I was wondering.
all-time scoring. I think he's up to 14th now,
Is it?
and he's 3 points behind whoever is
I think it's King.
right ahead of him.
Bruce King? Bruce Sky King?
Horner and Bruner are within his sights. He's got to get about 150 points
Oh,
really to
he'll
make
get that.
it, which, I mean, he's averaging more than that at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Good.
Well, very
That
deserving.
that would be nice.
That would be nice. The postseason would be nice.
He stayed pretty healthy.
He is, I think, currently the 6th ranked all-time Big Ten free throw shooter.
Wow.
Is that
Wow.
right?
Steve Alford is still the all-time leader
believe
with
that.
like a 90-some
Is-
percent.
Wow.
Any idea where B.J. Armstrong ranks on that list?
Free throws?
Yeah.
I don't.
He was awful good.
But Matt is hanging in there at 6th, which is quite a career accomplishment.
Sure
It
is.
certainly is. Wow. I didn't realize that.
I tell my son every time Matt steps to the line, watch how he shoots. Watch the form,
Yeah.
watch the follow through, watch the rotation of the ball, because it's a thing of beauty. And just think what he could have done had he not broken his thumb prior to the Big Ten season last year.
Last year, yeah.
That was a horrible blow, and it took him all year to get back from that.
Well, if he hadn't done that, that 150 points would be probably 50 points at this time, Pat.
Maybe
Getting
What
to that
season
time.
did he average the most points?
Well, I think his average this year is a little higher than the prior seasons. I think it's come up a little bit each year.
And
Is it like, what, 13 or 14?
I think right now
I
it's
think it's
13.3.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then the other thing, now he's guarding the top, usually the
Yeah.
top scorer on the
Yeah.
other team. And that takes a lot out of you. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work to lock somebody down. And it's not just that he's guarding them. He's doing a really good job on them. It's
Yes, he is.
He shut Hubbard down, didn't he? Was it Michigan player?
he shut a lot of guys
Hardaway.
down.
Hardaway. I thought, well, who did I say?
Hubbard.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and he shut
did last
Hummel.
year.
He
He
shut
did.
down Hummel here. I can't remember what he did to him there, but he contained him, and that's not easy to do. I don't think you can shut a Hummel down. I didn't think you could shut a Hardaway down, but he sure did. I think Hardaway won't forget that when
And he
Iowa
plays
goes back.
almost the whole game.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I think we
And
heard
he can
Coach
do that too.
Hmm?
He can play the whole game.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the key for Iowa getting postseason is they got to get that 17th victory. That'll assure them of a winning season. And then, we talked about the NIT and the NCAA, but now there's another tournament,
Well, there are
right?
two other tournaments,
Okay,
actually.
yeah.
CD.
One of which the Big Ten doesn't seem to be
Okay.
terribly interested in, and I never remember what they are, but
I
they've
don't either.
been in existence for a couple of years.
Well,
So, yeah, we've got a shot.
Yeah.
well, and again, the schedule's going to be a big factor.
I think a big factor for this team, guys, is their shooting percentage.
Yep.
If they can shoot 45% and above, they've got a shot. But boy, if they go into the tank and have one of those games where they're 35 or under, they're going to lose.
Well, speaking of numbers and percentages, I read the Daily Iowan this morning, and they've got an article in there I thought was pretty interesting. Never would have dreamed it, but the Hawkeyes lead the Big Ten in 2-point shooting efficiency.
Really?
And they're 6th in the nation in 2-point shooting efficiency. Who would have thunk it?
What is that percentage?
Oh, I forget. I was eating lunch, and I think it was in the 60s.
Whoa.
But the point being, it's a result of the offense and the tempo that Fran teaches. Get up the court, move the ball. They get a lot of layups, a lot of close-in looks, and they're not settling for three-pointers like so many of Licklider's teams did.
Boy, they come up and down that court.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Certainly a style we all like a lot better than the Licklider style. That's for sure.
reminds me a lot of Tom Davis.
Yeah.
That was an exciting brand of ball.
Yep.
It really was.
I think one of the keys to the finish is Melson Basabe.
Yes.
He's been a real disappointment, judging by what he says, including to himself. Whether it's the extra weight that he put on or something else like his mindset, I don't know. But
That's a good point. He's got to start
I
coming
think the
through.
mindset
Yeah.
because he can handle that. He played all right with that extra poundage. I don't think.
I agree 100%. Earl. We all heard Coach Fran talk to the quarterback club earlier this season, and he was so excited about the good weight that his players put on,
Yeah.
lean
it was.
weight. And I just can't buy for a minute. Nothing in looking at Melson tells me he's just too heavy. Not even
No,
close.
no.
I think it's between the ears. There was another article in the Daily Iowan today about Melson, and he had, over this 9-day break, he and Coach Fran have talked about getting back to basics. And for him, basics is rebounding. He has to, and he is committed to focusing on rebounding, number one. And Fran said everything else will come together following that. You can't attempt to be who you aren't. And I think that said a lot about what we've seen of Mel Sambasabe this year. He was just trying to do too much and wasn't, if he didn't succeed, his head took over and he was out of the game.
That's wonderful.
I would like to see him be ferocious on the boards like he can. I would like to see him be more intimidating on defense like he can. He can be a very effective shot blocker. We'll just have to see. But yeah, I don't know, Pat, if it was you that said Melson Basabi. I think he is the key.
Yeah.
The article also talked about Bryce Cartwright and how over this 9-day period, coach asked him from here on out to focus on defense. He has to be a better defender.
How about Marble?
Didn't talk about him.
He's doing good.
What it did say, though, in the article about the 2-point shooting, is that Marble's a big reason for that because he is so effective with that short pull-up jumper on the fast break. And
he is. He
nice
gets that
season.
ball in at the free throw line and inside. I mean, nobody can
He's going
stop
to shoot.
him.
He's going to shoot, too.
He uses the bank board.
Yeah.
He drops it in.
yeah, he can float him. Kind of like George Gervin, a little bit, reminds me.
It's been very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was George Gerwin?
George Gervin was the Iceman who played for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah. Oh, he's a pro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
He's
That
long
doesn't count. He
since
doesn't
retired.
Oh,
He
yeah.
played someplace in college.
That,
He
you're
played.
pulling one out of the history books then.
He was a perennial all-star and just a very smooth basketball player. I wish I could tell you where he played college. It was somewhere like
Can't remember.
Texas San Antonio or some hyphenated school. If anyone's out there that knows the answer to that, please call Bud Subel at home after midnight tonight.
I think it'd have to be Gervin's wife. Or one of his
The Iowa women,
Yep.
they've had a tough season.
Yeah, Jamie Prenty's 3-point shooting is down below 30%. She's
Goodness.
had a couple bad games.
He's got to shoot. Got to keep it going. And
Well, the thing about Jamie, she's a terrific basketball player. She's just having trouble making the long shot, but she offsets it with other things. I mean, she drives. She can go to with either hand. She's terrific at the take the shot and drive. Her assists are pretty good. She's playing much better defense.
I think she's one of the best we've ever had here.
Well, and she is on pace to be the all-time leading women's scorer.
Wow.
If she continues at the average, and her average has gone up every
She's
year.
a junior, isn't she?
She went
Yes.
over 1,000 points as a sophomore. She's right now somewhere between 1,300 and 1,400. She'll probably finish the season at between 1,500 and 1,600, and
Yeah.
she gets 500 to 600 next year. She ends up as Iowa's all-time leading scorer.
Who is the leading scorer right now?
Well,
You know?
Is it Franthea Price?
no, it's a older name.
Cindy Hagajordy?
Yes,
Yeah.
woman who played right when they started.
That's my era.
Oh, wow, that's way back.
I'd never
Yeah.
seen a woman player like her until I came to school here. I hadn't seen too many women players, period, where I grew up, but
Yeah.
I didn't see any. But she was impressive. Big, tall, blonde, curly-haired, and a great presence on the court, but that was a different era.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't believe she's still the leading scorer. I'll be darned.
The team just has never, I think, gotten used to playing without Cash Alexander. They depended on her, I think, more than all of us realized, to go get an offensive rebound and put it back in, to shut the other team's score down, not to turn the ball over. As much talent as Samantha Logic has, and I think as good as she's going to be, she's turning it over way too much.
That was
Yeah.
killer at Penn State.
Yeah.
Was.
Just killer. And she's a freshman. She plays like it. I think she's getting tired.
Yeah.
I don't agree with getting tired.
she's missed a lot of shots. She's got great moves, has the ability to get to the basket, and oftentimes she's there and bricks the shot.
And she's a tremendous passer, and I sense that a lot of her teammates still aren't ready for that pass that she gets to.
Well,
them.
that happens sometimes.
Another thing I notice, Jamie Printy, back to her for a minute. Now, Pat, you'd know more than I, but I've noticed this year especially, and lately in the season mostly, when she shoots her three-pointer, she's almost turning her body sideways to the basket. Now, I know she's had a bit of that sidewinder in her in the past, but now I see it much more pronounced, that side look
I hadn't
to the
noticed
basket.
that. If she is, it's probably just an attempt to get open. And she's now well known around the league, and
Oh, yeah.
she's guarded closer than she used to be, and I think that brings with it some frustration. Her free throw percentage is now back at 90, which is pretty darn good.
It's just
very,
amazing.
It's excellent, but it seems like a lot of her three-point attempts are way beyond the three-point line.
Yeah, she
I mean,
she puts it up from quite a
25,
distance out.
26 foot sometimes.
Oh, she was putting them up further than that Sunday against Penn State, late in the game anyway.
Yeah, it also seems like they rush their possession a lot. Instead of working the ball around a little bit more and wearing the defense down a little bit, they're pretty quick to shoot on several trips down the floor to me.
I've heard Lisa say, I think it was a post-game interview, that her instructions are that they should have Morgan Johnson at least touch the ball once before they put a shot up. They should get it into her, and even if the ball comes back out, that slows it down, sets it up before.
Makes sense, yeah.
Well, Wallene had, I think, a tough start to the season because she was having a lot of back problems. She was in real pain. I suspect she still is in a degree of pain, but she's been fairly hot lately. She's played well. She's been trading off with Logic, playing point guard and the two guard. Wallene is now, I'm not going to have the numbers on this, but I think she's a senior. She's now in third place all time as a three-point shooter. Lindsay Meter is still first, and Wendy Osdemore was second.
Some good players.
Wallene is now up to third. Now, Prenty is on pace where next year she'll likely challenge Lindsay Meter's three-point career record.
Well, one thing we ought to point out, last week against Wisconsin, the women didn't miss a free throw the whole game.
That's right, yeah.
Me and the boy were just pulling. We were pulling so hard for that, and I was impressed that he was aware they hadn't missed anything.
Do you remember how many they shot? I don't remember.
16.
16?
16 for 16.
Well, and you take Jamie Printy in the Penn State game, then they got beat by 16 or whatever in the last 5 minutes. How many games is she going to go? 4 for 20 from the field.
Not very well.
I hope
Hopefully,
not many more.
Not very many.
Yeah, that might not have ever happened to her in her life, but it did. So hopefully they'll just get better because they're going to have a tough time
Any news
qualifying
on?
for the NCAA.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed, Morgan Page started for Wisconsin last Thursday night.
Yes,
Yeah.
Young woman from Marion whose brother's going to North Carolina. But they also started, it was kind of cute, a girl from DeWitt Central, who Iowa actually took a look at, and Wisconsin ended up offering her a scholarship. And she had some family and friends in the stands who you could hear cheering when they introduced her pregame. She didn't play as much as a starter would normally play, but she was certainly on the court. And I also saw last Thursday night something that you very rarely see out of an official. There were some really poor officiating in the first half. And at one point in the second half, Lisa went ballistic over. There was a Wisconsin player who traveled, pivoting and going to the basket, took it clearly. The whole arena saw it, except the officials didn't call
Who
it.
was right there in front of her.
Right.
Yeah.
And Lisa was She was actually being restrained a little bit by a couple of people on her staff. At the next time out, the official who'd been the closest came over to her, and you could read the lips, and he apologized. Told her that he had missed the call, it was his responsibility, and he tapped his chest to signal for my bad, and said, I'm sorry.
I admire that.
That is. That
Yeah.
takes some guts for an official to do that.
Did he
And he
make
did.
up for it?
There was no, well, I don't know if he made up for it.
You know,
Because they're pretty good at that when they have to be. You know?
I do remember. I'm trying to recall exactly what, but right after that play, there was a call that went our way that I thought they hadn't been calling that earlier tonight.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Yeah.
That'll happen
The
too.
women have just had such hard luck with injuries.
gosh.
It's the same old story every year. Now we've got Callie Hansen on the bench with a groin,
She hadn't dressed for 2 games.
and she's one of my favorite players. She is so tough-nosed and.
If you watched her walking off the other night,
Oh,
she
I
could
did.
barely walk.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know how long that's going
What
to
did
take.
you say her as a groin injury?
groin.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and those don't heal real quickly.
No.
Virginia Johnson got a few more minutes than she's been getting, and we'll see if that continues.
Well, this team's really young, and when Morgan's not in there, it's a different team.
Well,
Our best three-point shooter for average is now Melissa Dixon, who's sitting
On the
on the
bench.
bench
Yeah.
in street clothes.
geez.
She had
What's-
surgery on
Let
the
me
knee.
ask you this, Pat. Prior to the season, did you think that Virginia Johnson would play more?
I did, yeah.
I kind of did too. I just wondered what you thought about
I
it.
did. The apparent reason would be she just wasn't as ready as we assumed she was
Yeah.
defensively and rebounding and picking up the offense. But, and I've heard Lisa say that she's the one player on the team who, more than any other, does some things in practice that make everybody say, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh,
Interesting.
And of course, she had a real setback with a concussion. She
That's what,
missed about 3 weeks, which
Yeah.
included no conditioning.
Yeah.
She wasn't even allowed in the arena, so she had a real setback in terms of her normal development. But yes, I did think she would do better. Now, Kelly Cry is someone else who, going into the season, I
Yep.
thought would be a lot better than she's performed. She's rebounds fairly well. She's playing decent defense. She just hasn't shot the ball the way we expected to,
Same here.
including as often as we thought
Yep.
she would. There was a point in the year where she was percentage-wise our best three-point shooter, and you saw it again at Penn State. I don't know what's going on in her psyche, but there were 2 or 3 points at which she could easily have taken a three-pointer, and she pulled it back and passed it off.
I see that every game with her,
Yeah.
and it's a little disappointing. She's, without a doubt, my son and I's favorite player. Just for no other reason, she's from City High, and we knew her in high school. And,
She hustles.
and she's just a sweetheart, comes from a great family, and
She's a senior this year.
yeah, this is it.
This is it.
There's still time for her to step it up and be that senior leader. I
Sure.
think this team sorely lacks. Camille
Yeah.
is a senior leader,
I agree.
no doubt about it. But I'd like to think going into this season it was going to be Kelly's team. She's an Iowa City girl. And I thought, boy, here's a chance. She was a state champ in high school and virtually unstoppable in high school. Now, I know
Yeah.
the competition
No,
level
I
is
think that's
different,
right.
but there's still time for her to do that.
Oh, yeah.
There's still
a lot of
time
games
for
left.
Jamie to get her shot straightened out. There's still time for Callie Hansen to get healthy. Hopefully, we'll see Melissa Dixon before the Big Ten tournament, but I don't know.
Now, how many of these girls are seniors and this is their last shot?
Wallene and Cry are the 2 seniors in the starting lineup.
Starters,
Hansen's a senior
Charlie's a
because she
senior.
was a junior college transfer from Kirkwood. And
Yeah.
I think Megan Considine, who of course ruptured her Achilles at the start, she didn't play at all.
Yeah.
And
I
Hannah
think she's
Draxton is
also-
also.
She was a
senior.
walk-on,
Hannah.
right?
how
Yeah.
tall,
was.
how tall is Johnson?
Considine.
Virginia Johnson is about 6'2".
You know, if somebody gets well, and we could really use Johnson.
Yep. And I think there's time for
yeah.
Virginia to step it up and be that player, that force in the middle. I'm real impressed with Bethany Doolittle. I see her improving as a freshman, true freshman. You could see early on she was intimidated physically, mentally, but I don't see her backing down from anybody now.
She gained some confidence. She sank all 4 of her shots Sunday.
Did
at
she?
Penn
Yeah.
State.
Yeah.
Blocked 2.
She's going to be a force before her career is over.
Yeah, I think so.
Really
Starting
like
next year, I bet.
Yeah, well, she'll. I'd love to see her and Morgan in there at the same time.
How tall is she?
She's listed at 6'4". I think she's at least 6'3 and a half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Now Kelly Cry, she's 6'2"?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, they got some size. The girls have some size on the team. Yeah.
And like I said, there's time.
Yeah.
There's time. It's January, late January. The women have what, a month left in their season?
Yeah, their last home game is probably the last week of February.
Ooh, that's going to be an emotional day.
Yeah.
Get Kelly on there from Iowa City, from City High. You got Camille, you got Callie, all of them nearby.
One of the things that I really believe is, in spite of the fact that our record has been mediocre and we're quite in the middle of the pack, at this point maybe even a notch below the middle of the pack, we still haven't played anybody that you say, oh, that team is better than us, we don't have a chance to beat it. And so when they get to the Big Ten tournament, regardless of how the season finishes up, it's not impossible they could win the darn thing.
That's true.
And you know what? I feel the same way about the men. Once they get
Wouldn't
now,
that be something?
Yeah.
Ohio State and Michigan State are clearly head and shoulders above everyone else in the Big Ten as far as talent is concerned.
The rest of the teams are pretty equal.
That's right. But I still think the men have as good a chance as anybody in winning that Big Ten tournament. All you got to do is get on a roll.
Well, and Pat alluded to it earlier. If we can get Melsan Wasabi coming around, that'd be a huge help.
There are a couple teams out there that are going to be problematic for us if we keep playing the way we have been. And that's teams like Indiana and Illinois that have true tall centers.
Yeah.
We're just having so much trouble stopping people.
Who did Illinois lose to the other day, though? Was it Penn State?
Well, they lost 2 in a row.
They got beat.
Didn't Wisconsin beat them, too?
Yeah. But they lost after a huge win.
I think it might have been
They
Penn
lost
State.
to Penn State.
Yeah.
You just never know in this Big Ten.
No.
Indiana's getting better. They're not there yet, but they've got some ball players.
They got upset at Nebraska last week, though.
Yeah, they did.
They lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Now,
anybody's
there's a
ballgame.
program, guys. Look at how poor Crean, is this his 4th year there? Or the first 3 years?
I think he
got beat
came
up
in the same
terribly.
year as Licklider did, didn't he?
I think you're right.
Or was it the year after?
I think a year after.
So this would be year
Licklider.
4.
This is year 4? Yeah, okay. But those first 3 years were tough.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
he did some recruiting, obviously.
And he did some coaching.
Yeah, that's
You know?
right, yeah.
He was nobody's fool before he got here
Yeah.
at Marquette.
You know who he's married to, don't you?
I do not.
Okay. We've heard a lot about the Harbaugh family, haven't we?
Harbaugh's
John and Jim Harbaugh, the coaches of the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers,
Former
they
Regina
have,
students.
they have a sister. And that's Tom Crean's wife.
No kidding.
That's right.
Now, did she also spend time in Iowa City?
Well, one was a family here. That was, gosh, when their dad was coaching.
early
and,
70s.
Yeah, so I don't know what age she would be.
Jim, of course, was born at Mercy Hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2 boys are 18 months apart. Jim's 18 months younger, so I don't know if she had been born. I don't know how much younger she is than her 2 brothers, but that's kind of interesting.
I didn't know that.
And if you caught the news when they were talking, they interviewed the parents. Were they going to go to either game, playoff game, those NFL games last week? And then they said, no, we're going to watch it from our home it's a suburb of
Chicago?
Milwaukee,
Oh.
I think. So they probably
Oh.
moved there when their daughter and Coach Crean were at Marquette.
Yep, makes sense.
That's where they live now, yeah.
Did Jim
Wisconsin.
leave here to go to Michigan? Or?
You mean the father?
Father Jack.
Mhm.
Jack was the father. I don't know where wasn't he on
Is it Lauterbur staff?
Lauterbur staff?
I think so.
He left when that staff.
I know, I
He
got.
may have gone to Michigan then.
I think it was, 'cause
That's what I always thought.
I
Yeah.
think he was, I went, they opened the stadium up and I went in. I went to the game, I don't know who it was. And Harbaugh walked down, and I was standing there, and Harbaugh walked over, and he turned his back right to me. And I said, that's Jim Harbaugh,
Jack?
Jack Harbaugh.
Yep.
Yeah, Jack, yeah.
And I said, Jack, Jack. And he turned around and he saw me and he smiled and he came over and talked to me. He said, I'm not supposed to do this. It's against the Big Ten rules for us.
Really?
Yes. There. And I said, what? And and that's what he said. And he said, how are you? And I said, I'm fine. I said, I said, how are you? I'm fine. And I said, you want to win today? And he said, I think so. So, and that was it.
Yeah.
Jack.
Well, John and Jim Harbaugh were at Iowa City Catholic Grade School, the old St.
Sure.
Patrick's, when they lived here in Iowa City for a couple of years.
Did not. I thought they went to Regina.
Regina was only a high school then,
Oh.
and they were an elementary school.
They were down at St. Pat's.
Yeah.
You were going to say,
Well,
Pat?
I was going to say, we're talking about former Iowa football staff members. We ought to send a shout out to Joe Philbin, who's now the head coach
Yeah.
of
How
the
about
Miami
that?
Dolphins.
Which has led to some rumors.
Yeah, it is.
Earl, would you like to know the rumors?
Everything leads to rumors.
Well, if any of you
Yeah.
read or heard his introductory news conference there at Miami, he left a lot of praise, or gave a lot of praise, to Coach Ferentz and to Coach Ken O'Keefe, the offensive coordinator, who I didn't know was his high school coach.
Really?
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And he said he learned an awful lot from Ken O'Keefe.
Yeah, that's
playing for him.
The
and-
big rumor is that Ken will go to Miami with Philbin.
I'd say that's a rumor, yeah.
Yeah, that's a juicy rumor.
That's a juicy rumor. That's,
We still don't have a defensive coordinator.
Yep.
We still don't have a
Okay,
defensive
what's
line
the
coach.
rumors there?
We're a week away
Same
from
old
signing
rumors.
day.
Yeah.
Same old rumors. You think Brian Ferentz will end up in this staff, boys?
I don't think anything.
I don't think so.
No. But if Ken O'Keefe left, who knows? You just never know.
Well, I'm available.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well,
I want to call the first
I'm
play.
retired now. I'm available.
you want Earl gets to call the first play. Kirk,
I want to call the first play.
Kirk, Mary, if you're watching, give Kirk a nudge and.
He knows it. He knows that.
Earl wants to call the first play next year.
Okay.
Every time I introduced him, I visited with him before I introduced him. I said, "Can I call the first play?" He said, "No."
I like that.
Okay, Murph, what would you call? I want to know what you're going to call if you get a chance to call the first play.
Running back off tackle.
Yeah.
Joe said,
Run the
"Long pass."
Flea flicker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stick an exotic in there.
And speaking of the football team, signing day, the National Letter of Intent signing day,
Yep.
is a week from today, February 1st, which is my mother's 83rd birthday, my daughter's 16th birthday. God help us all.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
And that's going to be a
So
big
will you
day.
be buying her a car on that day?
My wife thinks I should. I
Yeah,
said,
of course.
what about your daughter? You said, God bless her.
God bless us all. she's going to be 16.
Oh, my.
So, that's a big day.
Yeah.
Little news this week. The Hawkeyes had a big weekend when a lot of high school seniors came in to visit and hopefully, get offers from the football staff. And one of those visiting was a young man from Cedar Falls named Barkley Hill, who was a already verbal commit to Iowa State. And I'll be doggone if he didn't change his mind. And now he's a Hawk.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, it is great. We need running backs.
But we said last week they were certainly likely to sign a second running back besides Greg Garman from Erie, Pennsylvania. Barkley Hill is a very talented guy.
Yes.
Oh my, his numbers were astronomical.
He's 6 feet, 205 pounds, last year, he scored 40 touchdowns. He reminds me
Think
a
about
lot.
that for a minute.
He reminds me a lot of Brandon Wager.
Yeah?
Oh, he does.
As enthused as we were about Wager, I think Hill is cut in the same mold. He gashed City High for yard after
Did.
yard after yard,
Oh, I like
and he
hearing
caught some
that.
passes.
Who did they lose to? Do you remember in the playoffs?
Was it Bettendorf?
Was it? Oh, I think you're right. I think that's right.
Is that
This
the-
kid's numbers are, I've never seen anything like it. Now, maybe I haven't, I just don't remember. Think about that, 40 touchdowns in 1 year. That's about 3.5 touchdowns per game.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, and his yardage totals were phenomenal.
What do you get for half? Is that a half a touchdown?
What do you get for half a touchdown? 3.5 points.
You said it.
Well,
I was disappointed when, in the spring, he verbaled to Iowa State. You always wonder if that means there's some connection that he or the family had,
It sounds like Bobby.
or we weren't recruiting him.
Bobby Elliott recruited him.
Well, and I've wondered if that
Could be.
made
so.
a difference
Could
to
be.
him.
And if you didn't see the show last week, we told you that Bob Elliott, son of Bump and Barb, former Hawkeye player, former Hawkeye coach, is now coaching defensive backs at Notre Dame. He is the 4th Iowa former player to be coaching at Notre Dame now on this current staff. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Well, you got what? Bobby Diaco there as a defensive coordinator.
Yep, you got Kerry Cooks
Uh-huh.
also, and then there's a guy named Longo who
Okay.
used to be a trainer.
Yeah, he was in the strength and conditioning.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go. So, yeah, lots going on. I'm telling you, there's going to be an awful lot of movement, awful lot of action between today and next Wednesday. In fact, next Tuesday. Because all those decisions are pretty much going to be
Yeah.
made by Tuesday night next week. And there are a lot of big names on the board for Iowa. There's a lot of hoping going on out there right now by the coaches. Not hoping, they're working their tails off.
Well, do we know how many scholarships we're going to give out? Because it has gone up because of the, a vacancy created here in the last few weeks.
Well, originally it was going to be 20.
Okay.
And I don't, I think they've got 18 verbal commits right now.
I think Barkley Hill may have been the 19th.
Was he? That makes sense. I think they're going to go over 20, though. I still think they're going to try to get at least one more running back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they are. They're trying to get a kid named Tevin Shaw. Where's he from? I don't know. Can't remember.
It was the Shaw that went to Marshalltown. That was
This
No,
kid's
he's
not
from out of
Iowa.
state. This
Yeah.
one's from
that
out of
was
state.
years ago.
I think they're going to get another running back.
Okay.
They're still in on some really good guys. This kid, Jaleel Johnson, 4-star defensive lineman, was here this past weekend. He's a guy who tweeted and Facebooked that he thought things were really out of kilter here when Kaczynski left. And he made his visit, loved every bit of it, was tweeting and texting and doing all that other stuff throughout his time here. Loves it. But he's going to Michigan State this weekend to visit there. So, two vastly different programs. I think it'd be fair to say that Michigan State is the arch rival, arch nemesis of our coaching staff. They've done a lot of dirty things out there on the road, said a lot of misleading things to recruits and to their parents.
What's Worthy? Is he a senior?
Who?
Worthy.
Worthy.
He's a tackle from Michigan State that
oh.
almost died here.
Oh, that poor guy. Number, was he 99?
Yeah,
The big guy that kept going down. I don't think he's recovered yet, Earl.
Well,
I
you know
think
what?
he's seeking a medical hardship.
He fainted 4 times.
That poor guy.
That Michigan State team, they're going to have some holes to fill because that was a senior-dominated team this year. I think they had 15 or 16 starters that were seniors
Good.
on offense and defense. So,
Yeah. And a lot of them were in very poor health.
yeah,
Those coaches just must run them to death
Oh,
in
yeah.
practice. That must be it.
fell down after every play.
They just couldn't stand up a whole game. We haven't talked at all about high school, and I never get tired of saying West High boys and girls
Ooh.
are still number one. They are still undefeated. They are still blowing out every opponent.
Yeah. No close games at all in either case, right? Boys and girls?
I think they both had one close game,
Wow.
and that's like within high single digits.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to get out and see the West High kids play. Unfortunately, the boys and girls don't play on the same night usually, like they do at Regina.
Yeah.
In fact, the boys are at home. The girls are usually on the road at that same opponent, which I don't like. I really enjoy seeing the girls and then the boys play. In fact, sometimes I'd like to see, and I know they do this, they mix it up. The boys will start first and then the girls. But anyway.
That would be fun.
Yeah. The West High girls are going to be hosting Xavier tomorrow night, and it's going to be the Found Family Night at West High. Caroline Found was the senior volleyball star who was killed in a moped accident just right after school started. Just a horrific thing. And then a couple weeks later, her mother dies of cancer. Don't know too many families that have been through as much as the Found family. So what they're doing at West High tomorrow night is raising money for the Piano Lounge at the University Hospital, where the mother, Mrs. Found, spent a lot of her time and was thoroughly entertained by the piano playing. And if you haven't seen it, it's really a beautiful lounge area that anybody can use, anybody can enjoy. And that's the Found family chose to do with their fundraising money that's going to come their way tomorrow night at West High against Xavier. The boys will be at Xavier on Friday night. So, and then they host Dubuque Senior, maybe one of the worst boys teams in the state, on Tuesday night. Dubuque Senior will be here at West High Tuesday night. Steve Bergman has just got a heck of a team, and the thing of it is, it's really scary. They don't have very many seniors on this team. They got one senior that starts, and I think one who contributes quite a bit off the bench.
And one sophomore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness.
So get out there and support West High, support the Found family if you can tomorrow night. City High, boys are having a rough go of it. They did win a game earlier this week, and they lost one, too.
One fairly handily
Well,
against Cedar Rapids, Washington.
Yeah, they're 5-8.
That surprised me.
Yeah.
They're going to be hosting Cedar Rapids Prairie tomorrow night. And then they're also going to be hosting Cedar Rapids Kennedy on Friday night. So get out there and support the Little Hawks. They've got a very exciting team. They get up and down the floor, and they could use the support. So get out there and do that. The girls, City High girls, who are still doing very well. I know they're ranked. I just don't know what their ranking is. I couldn't find it. They will be at Cedar Rapids Kennedy tomorrow night, or Friday night, excuse me. Friday night at Cedar Rapids Kennedy for the City High girls. I had a chance on Saturday night to go see the Regals. The Runnin' Regals play boys and girls against Solon. It was quite a night in the
I bet
little
they
gym.
were packed.
It was packed for the
Yeah.
girls' game. It was kind of a who's who there in the crowd. We saw Greg Morris, the Iowa football equipment manager there, watching his son.
Has he got big shoulders?
Yes,
No,
the little brother does.
Yeah.
Little brothers. I mean, that whole Solon team was huge. I thought huge.
Yeah.
And the Solon girls team wasn't bad either. They're big, athletic kids, and they gave Regina girls a real tough time for about 3.5 quarters. And the final score, I think the girls won by 15 points, but that was not indicative of the game. They made free throws like nobody's business. That Regina team can make free throws, those girls. And I just love watching Gabby Dutchick play for the Regina girls. She's just the kind of kid, the kind of ball player as a coach you want out there. You can throw the ball out, and you can count on her to do the right thing, the smart thing. And she's got a nose for the hoop, and that's just something you can't teach kids.
That's right.
There are just so many kids that come along every now and then that have that nose for the basket, that know how to take over.
Yeah. Instinct.
And, she's got it. She's a treat to watch. And she's got a little sister, Zoe, who plays point guard. And then Megan Fackler is also quite a force out there, rebounding and setting screens and playing good defense. That Solon girls team just pressed Regina up and down the floor, never let up, never relinquished or relented the press, and Regina never got shook. They were prepared. They are well coached. Really a treat to watch. And then the boys came out, and that was a heck of a game. I'll tell you who is really interesting to see is Marv Cook's son. Drew is a freshman.
He's going to be very good.
Yeah.
I think he's 6'4". I may be wrong. The kid is tall.
Yeah.
But what's impressive is his court presence. He is not intimidated. He does not back down from anybody.
Sounds like his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, he looks like his dad very much.
I know.
But
Yeah.
he
Has he put on some weight?
could use some more.
He's getting there.
Yeah, he could
The
use some more
The
weight.
thing that impressed me the most the time I saw him earlier in the year was his jumping ability. And he gets up.
Yeah,
Good.
he's a leaper. He really is. He had two big, I think, 3-pointers against Solon when they needed him most.
Yeah.
And he can rebound. He plays smart defense. This kid, and he's a quarterback on the football
I
team.
mean, he's varsity. This is varsity.
Varsity,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
bet.
Playing as a freshman
Yeah.
in varsity.
And he's one of the first ones off the bench.
Is that right?
I think Randy Larson struggles to keep him playing with the sophomores so that they stay fairly competitive.
Yep.
I think he could probably use him even more than he's playing with the varsity, but wants the sophomore team to learn and grow and
Sure.
compete well.
I saw a big difference in Drew Saturday night compared to when I saw them play earlier in the year. I think I went to one of the first games of the season, and I thought, well, that's nice that he got in. You know, he didn't really show much,
Yeah.
but he played quality minutes Saturday night against Solon. Randy's got a couple injuries on the team. Drew was a big factor in that game. Freshman. I mean, it's just amazing.
That was a close game, right?
Oh yeah, I think boys won by 2 or 3 points,
Okay. Yeah.
and it wasn't decided until the very end. It was really nip and tuck the whole game.
Lynch is a player, isn't he?
He's a heck of a player.
Was that Ryan Lynch, right?
And George Seal Jr.
Yeah.
is a heck of a player. He was the big leader that night against Solon. He was the one hitting the threes, hitting the open shots. He's the one that Solon left open to stop guys like Lynch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it backfired on him. Seal just
Very
did what
good.
he
Yeah.
took advantage of what they gave him.
Yeah.
So the Regina boys and girls are going to be on the road here. Let's see, what do we have? They're hosting Fairfield tomorrow night, Thursday night. Then Friday night they go to Durant, and Saturday night the boys only go to IMS. That's never an easy game, and it's a pretty unique experience down there to see a game at IMS.
It'd be hard to find a seat in that, Joe.
Oh, you got to get there early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I paid my dues down there back in the day. Oh boy. So that's the boys' 4th game in 5 days. They've
Wow.
had to make up a lot of games because of bad weather,
Yeah.
and they're slowly, the boys, starting to build that record up.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
They're like 11-3 or something like that.
I think that's right. I hate to say this, guys, but we're out of time.
Okay.
As usual, I talk too much, but I guess that's kind of the.
I'm nodding my
MO.
head. Yeah.
Yeah, Earl, he knows I talk too much. But we got in everything we wanted
That's
to talk
right.
about today. And next
did.
week, we're going to have the opportunity to talk about signing day. And we're going to talk more about the 25th anniversary of the Hawkeye men's team, who went with Tom Davis to the Final 8, or the Elite 8, in 1987. Until then, on behalf of Bob Boyd and Pat White and Earl Murphy, I'm Dirk Keller, thanking you for watching Sports Opinion every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on Channel 18, or you can go to my Facebook page and find it right there. And we want to thank Joe Murphy and Supple's Flowers for sending us flowers every week. Until next time, remember this: either you're a Hawk or you're not. Go Hawks, thanks for watching.